Communion in New York started in 2010. We started at the Public Assembly in Williamsburg, and then it moved to Union Hall, and then it came to Manhattan, and it's been at Rockwood ever since. We put on, in general, 6 acts per show. At the New York one, there's going to be 11 per month, and that's every month, and it's been going for 7 years, and it's now in 25 cities. So that's like roughly about 125 bands a month. Well, Communion started in 2006 by myself, Kevin, who's a multi-instrumentalist in Bear's Den, and a producer called Ian Grimble. Kevin and I, at the time, were in a band called Hot Rocket. At the time, we were trying very hard to make it all we did. We wanted that band to be our career, and we wanted to be able to pay rent, and I wanted to move out of my parents' home, and it was really hard to make ends meet. And there were lots of other people in London at the time in the same space as us. Yeah, we just wanted to sort of solve that problem, find a solution to it, and so we decided that we would start an event that we paid artists up front to perform instead of paying them based on how well the show goes, which is how 90% of promotion exists these days. I noticed that there was a lot of great musicians who came from places that weren't the major cities. And I just had a lot of conversations with people over time, and they were like, how do we break? And they always had the wrong answer. They were like, oh, I just want to go and get, if I can somehow get my demo submission in front of like the head of the biggest record label, then maybe we can get signed for a lot of money, and that will mean that we're sorted for the rest of our lives. But they didn't. But no one really knows any better, and there aren't really many options for someone who lives in, say, Louisville, for example, Louisville, Kentucky. If you're a band breaking out of there, you wouldn't think that you can break from Louisville. You would think you have to get in a van and drive either to Chicago, Nashville, or New York. And we all know that's the wrong solution. You know, those artists will come here, no one will know who they are. They'll be in amongst a swathe of thousands and thousands of other unsigned acts, and then they'll go home and they'll be like, right, that didn't work. So what? And there's no like platform, and we curated it in a way that we sort of made sure that the room was busy throughout the night. So we'd put the second biggest draw of the evening on early, so it wouldn't be like a sort of a layer cake, or it wouldn't be exponential in terms of the crowd. It would kind of get everyone in early, and then everyone would stick around. So the bands in the middle, who might have less of a fan base, they got to play to like people who wouldn't have otherwise seen them play.
And the nights won't be programmed in a typical fashion where it's the opening act and it works its way up to the headliner. Sometimes the headliner will be going on second or third, because again, Communion, you check your ego at the door. It's about being a curated evening of music, something that you feel humble and special to be a part of.
That was the original premise and the reason why we started it. And then people liked the bands that we were putting on, people respected the music that we were choosing. Time and time again, they saw these artists just go on to be incredibly successful. Laura Marlene, Noah the Whale, Ben Howard, and so I guess we were kind of seen as like just calling it right. And it just grew from there, and we decided that we were doing that well for London acts, so we might as well start doing it in other cities around the world. You know, we're in October 2013, that was 2006, and now we're in 25 cities around the world. Now 9 cities in America. People who haven't even performed at it yet just choose once a month to come and meet and catch up and kind of trade, and they tour stories or studio ideas and whatever. So it's kind of like a networking thing for musicians. A couple of bands have actually formed through it. So Daughter, when like we started working with Eleanor Tonro, she was, you know, singer-songwriter, came along with a guitar from Bristol. The same with Matthew and Yetlis. I found Matt Hegarty as a local support to Mumford & Sons when we were playing in Reading in like 2008. And then I introduced him to like Winston's Fat Mate and introduced him to a few other people. There's this other band that were on a Communion Club night, and they've just like merged bands and created Matthew and Yetlis. That then went on to tour the world, sold a lot of records, and it's just been great that we were facilitators. There are fans, or supporters I should say, of Communion, who come every month, regardless of who's playing, and those are the people who I really value, because they're the people who, you know, I can say to Willie Mason, please come and play a show because you'll be playing in front of people who haven't heard your music yet. We've kind of built up that trust with these people through the artists that have played the club nights going on to doing really well. So like Walk the Moon played their first New York show at a Communion Club night, and the people who were at that show, myself included, we all knew that we were watching a band who was going to go and who were going to be successful. It was very, very early days. I think they'd done like 6 shows or something by that point. And I just was tipped off to them by a friend from DC who said they'd really appreciate the exposure. Like, they will be here tonight and they've been at every single Communion show and it's just part of their calendar. And I love that. And I think if we can get to that point in Louisville, we can get to that point in Madison, Wisconsin, where people it's just a part of their social calendar, then great, then we've won. Bringing Communion into these smaller cities is just like a starting point and like an outpost. So that it's kind of like a step-by-step process. It's like you play your local show, and then maybe play some shows around it regionally, and then maybe play club shows all over the world, and then maybe after that we can do an EP, and then maybe after the EP we'll do an album. And album-wise, we've really only worked with a handful of artists, which most people know about. It's been like Gaultier, Ben Howard, Michael Kiwanuka. It benefits artists at all points along the way. Even if they just get to play a great show in their local town, then that's cool. Even the fact they get to play in front of a busy room, for most bands, that makes it worthwhile. That makes them like want to keep writing and keep going to their day job. And I wish that when I was in Hot Rocket with Kev, that someone was doing that for us and we could have done that. My base in London and Kev's base in London, and a lot of people we know live in Shepherd's Bush, which is just a part of West London, and there's a bunch of venues and pubs. And so we thought it'd be fun a couple of years ago. 3 years ago we decided to start a music festival, one wristband event, and we put on 30 bands. Yeah, it's good. It's called Bushstock. It's great. Yeah, I think the one thing that we're going to build in America, which we've started doing, is this event in the Redwood Forest in California. It's called Communion in the Redwoods, and we've done a couple of years of that. I was talking to the guys from Here We Go Magic the other night who played it one year, and they were saying that it was their favourite event of the summer because it's just such a beautiful surrounding. It's just literally in the middle of the big redwoods, about 45 minutes from Big Sur. So this year we started we incorporated Communion Records US, which is a different division of Communion Records. As an independent record label in America, it's provided its own challenges, and it's the same thing, like trying to convince indie record stores or convince like bigger digital distributors to prioritise these artists. And we're there like fighting for them and doing everything we can to get the exposure. So there's lots to come from Communion Records, and it's all we've made an American website called communionmusic.com, and that's going to be the home of all the American releases and the American club nights and the shows. It's fun, just creating avenues and opportunities to share music and find ways that people can enjoy bands. It's all a part of the same thing, really.